Well, good morning. Today is Sunday, November 19th, and we do not have any birthdays. We do not have any anniversaries that anybody told me about. Today I'm going to wear my careful, or you might end up in my novelty sweatshirt, which is way too big, way too crappy, but I just felt like being comfortable today. So I am wearing oversized sweats today. Because I had a little incident yesterday. We had to go to my best friend's daughter's wedding yesterday, and we'll get into that. I had that all screwed up. I messed up on that in all fronts, in every way you can imagine. But anyway, so I woke up, and Sparkling Susan and I have decided that we're going to be accountability partners. I'm accountability partner as far as my weight goes, with Joan at Joan's Pointed Plate, Sue at Sue Slims Down, and Terry Weeks over at Terry W. So Sue and Terry and I exchange our weights back and forth because we all weigh on different days, and we're our encouragement. Joan is just always there for me. So I can call her or text her or email her, and she gets right back to me. So those are my accountability partners as far as my weight. Joan is more so when I need really tough love, because she gives me really tough love. Let me tell you, sometimes it's a little tough. It's really tough, but you know what? It's what I need to hear at the time. And so Sparkling Susan had texted me and said, "Why don't we be accountability partners?" Accountability partners. That's a big word. On the treadmill. And so I said, okay. So then she gave me her schedule, and I said, well, I'm going to probably do Mondays through Fridays. I'm going to try to do it on the weekends, but I can't promise. I'm still got the weekend. It's all fun and games mindset, which is bad, I know. Anyway, so I had no plans to get on the treadmill yesterday, and I woke up at a fairly early time. I woke up at 9:30, played my games on my phone, did all my messages, did my Google Maps, or not Google Maps, Google News and stuff like that. And then it was like 10:15, and I thought, well, the wedding wasn't till 1. So I thought, I got time. I can get on the treadmill. So I plugged it in, and yesterday, the day before when I was on it, I started off at a 1.4, and then I increased it to 1.6. And I was very comfortable at the 1.6. So I got on the scale. I got on the treadmill yesterday, and I started walking. I turned the TV on because I was going to watch something on TV while I was walking. And then I thought, I think I can go up to 1.8. So instead of I didn't realize that there's a button that I thought brought it up. When you push the button, I thought it brought it up like 0.2. It doesn't bring it up a tenth at a time. It brings it up 0.2. So I thought if I hit the 2, it'll go up to 1.8 from the 1.6. So I'll be fine. For some reason, I hit the 6, which brings it up to 6 miles an hour. Trust me, I could not keep up with that. So I'm like, I'm going crazy. And so I went to hit the emergency stop button, but instead of hitting the emergency stop button, I hit the plus sign, and I'm hitting the stop, and I'm plussing. It went so fast that I flew me off the treadmill. I didn't completely throw me off the treadmill. It threw me to the ground. I banged up my left knee so bad, and it's all bruised, and it's all ugly looking now. And I landed, boom, like that, on the treadmill. With the treadmill, it didn't stop. It did, because I'd never pulled the emergency stop. So it kept on going, and I'm bumping until I could work my way off of it. And I finally got myself off, and I sat up, and I thought, oh my gosh, that was hell. That was hell. And then Jim comes into the room, and he says, oh my God, what happened? He says, that did not sound normal. I said, no, it did not, did it? So I'm sitting on the floor, and he says, well, let's get up. And I go, no, I want to sit here for a minute just to kind of, calm down, compose myself, get my heart stop racing so much. So, I just sat there, and I told him what I did wrong and that. And so I thought, oh, this was horrible. It was awful. It was awful. So then when it got time to get up, with my knees, I have like the first time of knees that, I don't know if you can kneel. Kim, I'm kind of wondering, can you kneel on your knees? Because I was told not to kneel on my knees because my knees are metal or titanium or something. I don't know. When I kneel on them, it feels like someone's pushing a metal blade through my leg. It hurts. So I don't kneel in church anymore because it hurts so bad. And so I don't kneel. So I cannot get up from a sitting position without kneeling. And Jim's not allowed to lift more than 25 pounds. And last time I checked, I was more than 25 pounds, a lot more than 25 pounds. And so I said, no, I'm going to work this out. And he said, no, you're not. You're not going to get up. You're not going to sit on the floor. I'm going to help you up. And I said, well, why don't we go ask Greg or Jason to come over and help us? He says, no, and now he's mad because I am fully capable of getting you up off the floor. I am not an invalid, la, 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 la. So he's going on and on and on. So I said, I'll tell you what, get me a pillow, because if I can kind of lean with my other knee that didn't get wrecked, I can hold on to the bed railing and hold on to the side of the wall by the door wall. And then you can help me up at that point. And so he said, okay. So I got up in that, and I thought, oh. So he said, well, I don't know about that treadmill now. I don't know if you should go on it. And I go, oh, I have every intention of getting back on it. I figured out what I did wrong was there's a flap that you flap up. And when you flap it up, it shows all the buttons. When you flap it down, it only shows the emergency stop button. So my plan is to start the treadmill and get it going at the pace that I want. And I think I'm going to go back to 1.4 just to get myself back used to being on it. I'm not trying to break any speed records or anything like that. I just feel that if it's a comfortable pace for me for now, and I can get like half an hour on the treadmill, at least I'm moving. At least I'm getting myself going. And so I said, no, I have I said, but not now, because I am sore. I am really sore. I said, I'm not walking on it today, meaning yesterday. I says, no, I'm not going to walk on it today. I'm just going to kind of rest up for the wedding, because I don't want to miss the wedding. And so he said, okay. So I sat and watched TV with him and drank some water and felt better. I really did feel better. So I had, before we went to the wedding, because the wedding was at 1 o'clock, I thought, well, I'm going to eat something very light. So I had a hard-boiled egg and a glass of orange juice and a banana and a slice of toast. So I know that might not seem like a light breakfast to you, but that's a light breakfast for me. And so then we went to the wedding. So I had a great time at the wedding. Well, I'll just start off with that. I went to the wedding, and I was thinking that the wedding was farther away than it was. So I told Jim, the wedding's at 1. I got that right at least. I said, the wedding's at 1. And so I have to leave. We should leave here about 12:15, because it's going to take a good half an hour to get there. And he says, well, I thought it was in Mount Clemens. And I said, yeah, but you got to get off the expressway. You got to go down some side streets and that. And we got to park and all that. And so he said, oh, okay. So we left at 12:15. We got there at 12:30, which was nice. I visited with Kathy, my elusive friend, Kathy, that doesn't like to be on the camera, but then always asks why I didn't put her on the camera. But anyway, so we sat and we talked with her, and then her husband, Rick, came over, and I was talking with them. And then we went and got our seats and that. And I didn't bring my phone in because I was going to film Jessie coming up the aisle. And but then I thought, no, she's going to have a videographer because she had what do you call it? Photographers everywhere snapping pictures and everything. So I thought that they would have it. And I didn't bring my phone in because the last 2 weddings I went to, you were not allowed to take pictures or video. I know people still sneak into it, but I'm figuring I'm in church. I'm not going to break the rules in a church. And then the priest that had a very nice service, he was a little long-winded in that. And then after Jessie left, like when she was Mr. and Mrs., and then they went down the aisle and they left, the pews are starting to leave. And so we get outside and there's no receiving line. And I'm thinking, where is the receiving line? So I thought, well, maybe she had to do something, touch her makeup on. Maybe she had to go to the bathroom or something. I don't know. So I'm standing out there waiting. And then Kathy's brothers come out, and then they keep walking to the car. And I'm thinking, well, if her brothers aren't staying for the receiving line, there must not be a receiving line. And so then when I was talking to Kathy later when we got to the wedding, which is a whole other story, we'll talk about that. When I talked to Kathy when we got to the wedding, I said, I was surprised that there wasn't a receiving line. And she said, it's not allowed. I go, what do you mean it's not allowed? She says, they don't allow it anymore. And I says, just here? And she says, well, my church, because she goes to a different church. She says, my church and Jessie's church both said no receiving lines. And I thought, I have never heard of any such thing. And I said, well, how about the unity candle? I didn't see them light the unity candle. Nope, not allowed. Not allowed to light a candle. Can't light a candle. I mean, most of the candles in the church are now that you push a button and then they light up like a fake candle. And I think all the candles that were on the altar were those ones where you just, battery operated. And I'm thinking, how sad is this coming to? I can understand the candles if there's nobody in the church, but I always like a well-lit church as far as candlelight and stuff like that. And the unity candle is only lit till you get married, and then you blow it out and take it with you. So anyway, so Christy was going to come over yesterday because I'm having a problem with my surround sound. the words, when the people speak, the surround sound picks it up just enough, like you hear, it's just off kilter, and it's distracting. It's very distracting, because when they're done talking mouth-wise, the speaker's still talking. So Aaron came over to try to fix that, and then Jim wanted to put Fox Nation on his TV in the living room. And the one day I was trying to do, I don't know that much about the TV, because that's his TV and this is my TV, and he does whatever he wants. I don't touch that TV, because I thought if anything goes wrong, you can't blame me, because it's your TV. And so anyway, so he was able to get that on. And then I called and talked to Danny was going to come over just before we left for the wedding. He says, well, I'm on my way to come see you. And I go, well, you're not going to see me, because I'm not going to be home. I'm going to a wedding. And he says, oh, well, I'll go home and break my leaves. And I said, okay. So anyway, when Christy was here, she says, well, what time is the wedding? And I says, it's 6 o'clock. And I says, oh, funny story about the wedding. When I went out to eat with Kathy a couple weeks ago, she said, we never got your response card back saying whether or not you're coming. I'm just assuming you're coming. And I go, well, of course I'm coming. And I did mail the card back. But what's the problem is they're like those little tiny little cards. I said, sometimes I think those get lost in the mail because they're so small. I said, but I mailed it back. And I said, I'm coming. And so she said, yeah, I know you're coming, but I just wanted to make sure you're coming. I go, of course I'm coming. I said, was I supposed to pick something for the menu? And she says, no, it's a regular menu. It's a buffet. And so I said, oh, okay. So she said, but guess what? You're at table number 1. You'll be the first one to eat. Because I was sitting at Kathy's table. And I said, oh, okay, that'll be nice. So and we went, so I thought, and I knew all along that the wedding started at 6. And it's in Port Huron, which is like 35 minutes from my house. So I told Jim, I says, well, if we leave at 5:30, because it starts at 6, I don't like getting there right at 6. You seem a little bit more anxious. But I think if we get there about 5 after 6, they probably won't eat till 7 or 7:30. We'll have time to have a couple drinks. They probably have an appetizer bar or whatever. We'll be able to do that. And so he said, okay. So when I got home for lunch, I had a light snack. I had a cheese stick and an apple and a pretzel rod and a glass of unsweetened iced tea. So I thought, I'm all set. I'm not over hungry. We're going to get to the church and everything. So then I said, well, let me go get, when it was time to leave, I said, we'll leave about 5:30. So about 25 after 5, I went to get the invitation that I had in the drawer, and the envelope to put the money in and all that good stuff. And when I pull out the invitation from the thing, the response card falls out. And I realized that I have not sent back like I said I did. So only you, Sandy, only you. So then I said, well, I got the invitation and that, and I didn't tell Jim about the not sending the response card back. And we get in the thing, and he says, well, let's put in the navigation system where we're going. And so then I tried to tell him where it's at, and it doesn't have an address. And he says, well, it's got to have an address. And I said, no, it just says it's at the Doubletree Hilton in Port Huron, which means it's probably the only one. Let me look it up on Google. And I said, but I'm sure that it has an address. And as I looked further down, the wedding started at 5, not 6. And here it's 5:30, and we're just leaving. And so I thought, oh, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I said, we're so late. I said, we're going to get there about 6:15. Hopefully they start eating at 6 maybe, or 5:30. We'll get the tail end of the food. I was just so upset that I wasn't going to be on time. And then, so we started driving. There was no address. So we just and it wouldn't show up on his navigation system in the car. So I had to put it on my phone. And so then we started, and I texted Kathy, and I said, I screwed up. I thought the wedding started at 6, and I know it starts at 5. And she says, no, that's okay. The reception we're not eating until 6:30. And I thought, I'll get there in time. So when we got there, they had just started the toasts. And so Jim and I sat in the back, because I didn't want to walk in front of everybody. Here we're late as it is. And they didn't have a coat check, which was odd. Well, we had to hang our coats on the back of the chair. Or maybe there was and we just didn't notice it. That could be another thing. But it was decorated beautifully. It was like you were in a movie. It was like a Hallmark movie. It was so pretty. It was so elegant. It was just gorgeous. And I did feel like I was in a movie. It was just so nice. And then they did their speeches and or whatever, toasts. She had 2 maid of honors, her sister and her best friend, and so they did theirs. And then Anthony had a best man, and then his other brother gave a toast. And then Jesse's dad did the grace. And then Anthony's mother, who wanted to be the center of attention, let me tell you, she wanted, which was not a problem, but I mean, I'll get to her. she wanted to say the Hail Mary because it was the Blessed Mother's month, or she did a dedication to the Blessed Mother. I didn't really understand her because it was hard to understand her. And so I had no problem with that. So we said the Hail Mary, and then we get all done, and then they said, well, okay, when they call your table, you can go up to eat. So then we went up to the table, and we were hanging our coats on the back of the chair, and they called our table. So we timed that perfectly. But Anthony and Jesse had asked both the mother and the father, both sides, to wear black. I don't understand that. That's a funeral color. And all of her bridesmaids had black dresses, but they were different. And so I guess she had told them just to pick out a nice black dress, something that you can wear afterwards. And she didn't really care that it wasn't a theme. But they all pretty much had the same type of dress on, but not the exact same dress. So it was really pretty. And so then, and she had said to her dad and the groom's dad, that I really want you to wear a black suit with a white shirt, but you can wear any color tie you want. I don't really care, but I really would like you to wear a black suit. And then she said to her mom and the groom's mom, I really, if you don't mind, would you wear black? And so it was all agreed that they were going to do it. So it wasn't like the mother of the groom said, well, I really don't want to wear black. She said, no, I'll wear black. I can find something really pretty in black. And so then we get to the wedding at the church, and the father of the groom and the mother of the groom had matching outfits, and he had a purple suit on, like a grape, and she had a grape dress on that matched. So I just kind of thought that she was kind of drawing attention to herself, kind of was my thought. It's not your day, it's the bride's day, and I kind of felt, and then she made usually, now I don't remember, maybe they changed it. I know that when my boys got married, Jim and I just walked down the aisle together, but Anthony went and walked his mother down. And no, he walked his mother and his father down. He had his mother and his father on either side. So maybe that was whatever. But the first, Kathy came down first, and then she was sitting down, and then somebody else came down. I think the grandma came down. Then the grandma came down, and then forever and ever and ever it took before the mother of the groom and the groom's father come walking down. And they could not have walked at a slower snail's pace than they did. It was, I felt, and I know this is not bitter on my part maybe, but it's like I felt that she was trying to draw the attention away from Jessie and make it all about her. And so she took forever to get to the pew. And then when she got to the pew, it was a big production to get into the pew. And it was just everything. And so then Anthony went up on the altar, and then the bridesmaids come, and then Jessie came in. It was really pretty. And so then when we had to do the toast, then when she wanted to do the thing to the Blessed Mother, which was fine, but she went into this big long spiel about the Blessed Mother. And everybody, I think, that most of the people there were Catholic anyhow, so we know who the Blessed Mother is. We don't need you to tell us who the Blessed Mother is. And so she was just going on this long spiel about the Blessed Mother, and then she said the Hail Mary. And then when they did the dances, when she did the mother-son dance, honest to goodness gracious, that dance was at least 5 minutes long. I've never heard of the song. It was a mother-son, Mama loves her son or whatever. It went on, and I just couldn't help but think it was just all about her. And then she started to cry, which, okay. I never cry at a wedding, with the exception of being at this wedding. I cried, just a little bit of a teardrop fell down my face, because during the acclamations, they said, for the deceased that aren't able to make it here, and then they named my mother. They said June Manning. As soon as they said June Manning, I started to cry. It was like, oh, my mom should be here, because my mom used to babysit Jessie when she was little, when she was a little girl. My mother was her nanny. So, but anyway, so then they did the dance and all that, and I had so much fun at the wedding, but I was getting so stiff. And Kathy, oh my gosh, she had a great time. I'm going to put a clip here. At first, I'm going to have the music, and if I get copyright infringement, I'm going to have to reload the copy, and then I'll just take the music out. But she's dancing to, what's the name of the song? It's a rap song. I'm internationally known to take the microphone. I forget what they call it. But anyway, she did really good with that. And she had her little things going, and she had a really good time. So here's a little clip of Kathy. hopefully I got to keep the music in because that's really what makes the clip the best. And then we stayed probably till like 9:30. So I had a really good time, but I was starting to get a little stiff from my fall earlier in the day. My muscles were starting to react at this point because by this point it had been almost 12 hours. And so my muscles were saying, hey, did we have a fall today? I think we fell earlier. I think we need to start constricting because I was like, argh. So we left and we were coming home, and then we had to pass by Jimmy's way. And so Jim says, well, let's drop in. And I go, Jim, I know they're my kids. I know that. I says, but we don't drop in unexpectedly at like 9:30 at night, especially when Jimmy usually goes to bed at 9 o'clock because he does work a lot of side jobs on the weekend. I said, but we can drive by the house to see if he's got his Christmas lights up because I knew he was going to put his Christmas lights up. So I thought, well, let's drive by the house and we'll see if, if they have the lights on. So Jim almost got his deer for the season this year because as we were driving down Jimmy's dark dirt road, this big buck ran right in front of the truck, and Jim had to slam his brakes on. He would have done major damage to the truck, but Jim would have had his deer for the year, even though he couldn't go hunting. But it was so beautiful to see it in nature. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to kill it or anything like that, but it was just seeing it flying around, not flying around, but running around. It was kind of cool. And I told Jim, I says, you almost got your buck. He says, yeah. He says, I would have been calling Jimmy and he would have been coming down here to load it into my truck. And I says, I don't have a doubt of that. But, so anyway, my plans for today is I have my Zoom call, find out for sure if my cousin, which I think she is for sure coming for Thanksgiving dinner. I got my turkeys out thawing because I'm going to make 2 turkeys because I have almost 30 people coming. And then this way they'll have leftovers to have the next day. Because the best part of Thanksgiving is the turkey sandwiches the next day. Everybody knows that. So I'm going to make 2 turkeys. I'm going to cook one here and then one at Denise's house. It'll be the last year she's going to be so close I can cook the turkey over there. And just stay on plan. I did really well at the wedding yesterday. They had some kind of a chicken with artichoke and capers on top. It was delicious. You could cut it with a fork. It was so nice. And then they had macaroni and cheese, which I absolutely love. And I don't have macaroni and cheese normally. So I had a tablespoon of macaroni and cheese. They had garlic mashed potatoes. I never make garlic mashed potatoes. I know they would be very easy to make, but I always just make regular mashed potatoes. So I had a little bit of garlic mashed potatoes, but I didn't put anything on them, just a little bit of pepper. And then I had a salad with a little bit of ranch dressing on top of it. And then I had a vegetable melody, which I absolutely loved. It was cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and broccoli and artichokes. I had a lot of that. That was really good. I know it's probably in a butter sauce or something because that's why it was so good. And then I had 1 dinner roll. And then I picked the smallest piece of wedding cake and had a little piece of cake. So I think yesterday, I was really well on plan. And I think I'm going to do pretty well today too. I've got plans for what I'm going to have today, and I'm just going to know that I have to change my life in the sense of my lifestyle. I was going back to my old way of eating and feeling miserable, and I think that if I know that the only way it's going to change is if I change it. That's the only way my lifestyle is going to change. And because I do the shopping, I do the cooking, I do all of that. So I can't blame Jim for saying, oh, I had too much to eat. You bought too many cookies or something like that. That's all on me because I'm the only one that's responsible for that. So I got to be a lot more diligent about that. I really do. So I guess that's going to do it. I'm kind of long-winded, I know, but I had a good time at the wedding. Had a scare to start the day off. I felt that yesterday, I've always felt like I was a young 73. And when we were coming back from the wedding, I told Jim, I feel like an old 73 today. I just was feeling really, kind of down on myself because it was like any other day, maybe it wouldn't have been, but I wanted to be out on the dance floor, but I was too stiff. I had to even get up during the night to take some Tylenol. That's like, I don't take Tylenol unless I'm really not feeling well. And if I got up in the middle of the night and walked all the way into the kitchen to take some Tylenol, you knew I was aching. But, so that's going to do it. Yeah, I think that's it. So like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.